This story begins with a couple, Mason and Amelia, and they're flying on a private jet to a fancy party. They soon arrive at the venue and start enjoying it, and a little later they meet a man named Perez. He's the richest guy there, and he's hosting the party, and Mason mentions he owns a car collection. Perez is thrilled since he loves collecting cars too, and he takes Mason and Amelia to see his private garage. He shows them his favorite car, worth $200 million, and Mason and Amelia want to sit inside and feel it. Perez agrees and lets them get in, and once inside, Amelia signals a hacker named Link. Link instantly cuts all the lights in the garage, and meanwhile, Mason's men attack Perez and knock him down. Mason starts the car and speeds away with it, and turns out Mason and Amelia are professional thieves. They load the car into a truck and flee the country, but an FBI team starts chasing them down. Mason wonders how the FBI found out about their plan, and then Amelia suddenly points a gun at Mason. Twist: Amelia is actually an FBI agent and she only pretended to love him to catch him. Mason is heartbroken because he truly loved her, and still, he tells his team to go with Plan B. They drop all the cars straight into the river, and they lose the car but escape being caught. 3 months later, Mason quits stealing for a normal life, and one day his younger brother Sean shows up. Sean says he's planning a bank robbery, and he wants Mason to join the plan too. Mason refuses, saying he's retired from all this, and Sean tries hard to convince him, but Mason won't budge. Before leaving, Sean hands Mason a phone just in case, and 3 days pass, and Mason still hasn't changed his mind. On heist day, Link calls Mason asking why he's late, and Mason is confused since he'd already refused to join. Turns out Sean told the team Mason was in, and furious, Mason has no choice but to join Sean's plan. Sean is sitting in a coffee shop outside the bank, and the bank manager stops there for coffee every single day. When he arrives, Sean pulls a gun and takes him hostage, and he starts walking the manager toward the bank. But Mason shows up and stops them right there, and Mason warns him this plan will get them all killed. Sean says it's too late, the team's already inside, and all three of them head into the bank. Mason sees his team already blending in, disguised, and Sean drags the manager to a corner to open a door. Instead, the manager triggers the security alarm, and the whole bank erupts into chaos. Guards open fire on the robbers, and Mason's team takes down the guards and takes hostages. Mason asks Sean what their real target actually is, and Sean says it's a locker owned by Isabel Farrow. Inside is a hard drive worth millions in crypto, and Mason takes the manager down to the vault. One locker key is with the manager, the other with Isabel, and both keys are needed together to open it. Twist: Sean had no idea about the second key, and yet he brought his whole gang for this heist anyway. Mason finds out and gets furious with Sean, and he tells Link to hack the locker open. Link manages to hack and open the locker, but there's no hard drive inside at all. The manager laughs, calling it just a decoy box, and even he doesn't know where the real one is. Mason explodes with anger and yells at Sean, and outside, the FBI arrives with a full tactical team. Leading this mission is none other than Amelia, Mason's ex, and Amelia contacts the crew inside the bank. Link tries to distract her with small talk, but Amelia knows exactly what she's doing. She demands to speak directly with Mason, and Link tells Mason that the FBI wants to talk. Mason leaves Sean watching the manager and goes to Link, and hearing Amelia's voice brings back old memories. But Mason reminds himself she's his enemy now, and Mason starts negotiating terms with Amelia. He tells her to pull her team back 50 feet, or he'll start killing the hostages one by one. He also demands pizza and beer, delivered by her personally, and Amelia agrees but demands 2 hostages be released. Mason agrees to that condition too, and the team moves all hostages up to the main hall. A while later, Amelia brings the food inside, and Mason is happy to see her and gets romantic. Amelia ignores it and tells him to surrender, and Mason flatly refuses. He feeds everyone and releases 2 hostages as promised, and then something totally unexpected happens. The manager attacks Sean and flees with his gun, and Mason chases after him immediately. After a long chase, the manager is finally caught, and Mason interrogates him for information about Isabel. The manager reveals Isabel is married to Abel, a top gangster, and Abel is extremely dangerous, backed by powerful politicians. The hard drive holds proof of their political crimes, and if it leaks, it could bring down the government. Even knowing this, Mason decides to steal the drive, and he plans to blackmail the government to escape the bank. Outside, a car pulls up carrying Abel's lawyer, and he orders Amelia, "Catch the thieves in an hour or the army attacks." Amelia has no idea who this man really is, and her supervisor tells her his name is Alex, Abel's lawyer. The supervisor says Abel controls every powerful politician here and get the thieves out fast, or hostages will die too. Mason's team starts breaking down the locker room wall, and they hope to find a hidden vault behind it. But every wall they break just reveals another wall, and the U.S. Army surrounds the bank from every side. Amelia calls Mason and begs him to surrender, and if the army storms in, everyone inside will die. Mason tells her to leak the army's plan to the media, and once media arrives, the army can't take any action. Amelia does exactly that, and media swarms the bank, and the news spreads nationwide. The FBI chief gets furious and pulls Amelia off the case, and he warns Mason, "Surrender in 15 minutes or face attack." Mason's team finally finds Isabel's hidden locker, and Mason tells Link to hack it open now. Link says the security is strong, it'll take 10 minutes, but the army will storm in within 8 minutes. Mason comes up with a plan and releases hostages one by one, and this buys Link extra time to keep hacking. Within minutes, every hostage is set free, and after releasing the manager, the team starts surrendering too. Everyone gets out, except Mason and Link stay behind, and the FBI chief is furious about this. He orders the army to shoot Mason on sight, and the army storms in, hunting for Mason like dogs. They find Mason standing there holding a bomb, and before anyone can react, an explosion goes off. Mason and every soldier there are killed, and Sean's terrible planning cost Mason his life, it seems. But wait, a huge twist is still coming, and months later, Amelia resigns from the FBI. She refuses to keep working with corrupt people, and after resigning, she heads to a private island for vacation. And there, Mason is already waiting for her. And twist, Mason and Amelia were on the same team all along. They deliberately failed the Perez car heist on purpose, and just to make the FBI fully trust Amelia. The story flashes back to just before the explosion, and when the army entered, Mason demanded to meet Alex. They had to agree since Mason held all the evidence, and Alex arrives to meet Mason. Mason threatens him, deposit $500 million into my account, or I'll leak all this evidence to the public. He also demands new identities for him and his team, and so they can start a brand new life. Since Abel was at Mason's mercy, he agreed to it all, and a fake explosion is staged inside the bank. So everyone believes Mason died in the blast, and Mason and Amelia give up the criminal life for good and start a brand new life under new identities.